Welcome to A Breath of Fresh Career. This is season 2, episode 18. We're getting up there. I am joined here by Sarah Cascone. She is the VP of Marketing at Bluecore. As a quick intro to Sarah, I'm gonna tell a little bit of a story. But welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So I have to say that, and you probably know this, I've always believed in you. I've always believed in you since like the moment we met. We were introduced by somebody. We'll probably get to that, but and I don't know. We hit it off, and your energy and like you do this research and this preparation for everything, and it's awesome. So I actually placed you in your current company back in 2014. So that's like a huge success story. I wish I had like the clap button. Funny story that I have to share is that I was working with Bluecore. It might have actually been called Trigger Mail back then.
Yes, it was.
And then, and I've been working with them for a couple of years, and inevitably they were looking for somebody to kind of like get them set up and run all their trade show and events marketing. And I was referred to you, and you were running e-tail shows at the time in various countries. And I can remember you were like down in Spain, or like you flew to like Europe, or like maybe
probably London,
Australia or something. And I'm like, is this really? Long story short, I first presented you to these guys, and they were like, yeah, no, I don't recognize the companies she works for.
That's right.
And I was like, okay, do you know who she works for? And they're like, no, tell us. And I was like, this is the company that hosts the -- trade show specific to your space. So a day or two goes by, and they're like, okay, we're going to talk to her. And this was back in 2014. You're now the head of marketing for the company.
Yeah.
I mean, like, talk about a success story, working your way up through the corporate ladder in a really, really rapidly growing organization. It's amazing. So hats off to you to really just kind of, I guess, hammer a stake in the ground and make your mark over at Bluecore. While Sarah is not running marketing in the marketing department of Bluecore, you can find her with her boyfriend and her two pit bulls, who
right.
I've actually met on video. What are their names?
Nico and Lola.
Okay. Are they going to join us today?
Who knows? They're sleeping now. I hope they stay that way.
So to jump into this, tell us about Bluecore in your own words and what you guys do and how it works.
Yeah, I'd love to. So we are a multi-channel personalization platform built specifically for retailers looking to rapidly grow their e-commerce revenue, which obviously right now is super important with this mass migration to digital. And the unique way in which we do that is by connecting both shopper and product catalog data in a way that allows marketers to scale personalized campaigns wherever a shopper is. So email, on-site, paid media, SMS, with the intent of getting them to buy again and again. So it's been a fun journey, especially since it's a very crowded space. But we just hit our $1 billion valuation. Ooh. And I feel like we're breaking through. So I'm really excited.
Awesome. Are you going to buy an island somewhere?
Oh, absolutely. Name
Awesome.
it after Bluecore.
Come on, don't do that. So question for you about the whole platform thing. There's in this industry, in MarTech, in enterprise software and technology and platforms, there's kind of like a little bit of a gray area. Are you guys actually serving the media through the platform, or does your platform just power that?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's one of the ways in which we are unique. So we are a unified platform in that we have all of the systems necessary to drive a campaign. So data activation, campaign execution, where that's going, audience segmentation. So typically these sit in different systems, which make it kind of hard to move at the speed of the shopper. So we built everything all in one, so retailers can move really quickly, capture the opportunities to get a shopper to convert, and keep nurturing that as they move through their life cycle.
Awesome. And it has to be quick for sure.
So
you're the VP of marketing over there.
Yes, I
Can we
am.
just really quickly talk about you kind of like getting to where you are today in Bluecore, and like just if you can, because like a breath of fresh career is about a fresh career and an outlook and how people can get there, and you know what they need to do in order to get to where somebody like yourself is today. So can you just tell us a little bit about your journey?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I always say Bluecore is like the craziest, wildest ride you'll ever have in your career. And I think now also is one of the best times to be here, aside from when I first started and we were building a company from scratch. So it's been really excited. And I think the thing I'm kind of known for, and what I think has gotten me this far, is a certain level of conviction and drive and willingness to learn. Um, Anyone who's worked at a startup knows there are a ton of growing pains. You are changing so quickly, the people there, what you're focusing on, the messaging, and it's a lot to stomach. Like it's not something to take lightly, but I've always believed in the company, in what we do, in our co-founders, and the way in which they valued their people and grew and developed their people. And I knew it was something special. So for me, it was moving with the ebbs and flows and really learning from each milestone and growing with the company. You're growing with the company when you're with a startup for, it's literally almost 7 years now to the day.
It's awesome.
And that I think I've been fortunate to report to really great leaders too, who I've had good coaches along the way to help me, I think has been the power behind it all.
It's awesome. Now you got your start in the trade show business, right? Specifically for technology companies. And I can remember meeting you at a trade show. You know, I'm over there talking to candidates, really awkward, by the way. Talking to client companies, which is easy because they're all there. So I can just go meeting. And you're like literally running the show. I mean, and I think this was when we were with Bluecore also, but you're like running the show. You're like, yeah, what do you need? Like, no problem. I know who to talk to. I'll get this, I'll get that. We got this great event here. I mean, you were just all over, but how'd you get your start in the space?
Yeah, so I worked for Worldwide Business Research for about 5 years. They are the market research company. They run a whole bunch of hundreds of global conferences, but their retail events, specifically e-tail, was one of their flagships. And I started out there doing small events and event planning and coordinating with the sponsors and the speakers, and basically, funny enough, I was on one side of the coin, and I soon to be was on the other side of the coin with Bluecore being a sponsor and a speaker. And it was funny because I quite frankly never thought that the vendors and the sponsors we were supporting were doing anything super unique. They all kind of sounded the same to me. And I understood that there were probably nuances and differences, and everyone got a lot of value from the conference. So there was value there. But I thought to myself, I don't ever really want to work for one of these companies. Like, it doesn't seem like they're doing anything super innovative with events. I feel like there's so much opportunity here, whatever. Funny enough, you came to me with the Trigger Mail opportunity, and they were just willing to really blow it out of the water and figure out creative ways to stand out and change their thought leadership. And that's really what got me interested in being with Bluecore, because I kind of had a blank slate to really stand out with a company and do some creative stuff. So
That's why you're a really good fit for that specific role at the time, because you knew where to put the booth in all these locations. You knew what events to sponsor. You knew what sponsorships stuck, right? I mean,
Yep.
like, I think I can remember, and mark me if I'm wrong, but I think you guys like sponsored the mobile app at one point in time. Like, it's on everybody's phone. It's on you're in everybody's hand the whole event and after. So like constantly in their face, like, hats off. That's awesome. Really awesome. One of the questions I love to ask guests on a breath of fresh career is, obviously we're learning every single day. We learn a lot as we grow. What do you wish you had known when you got started in this business?
Definitely how to master direct communication. I think,
Mm,
communication is the cliche thing. You talk about it in relationships, in business, like you've got to be good at it. You've got to master it. But um, it's really quite complex. Like human beings are complex. So communication is up to a lot of interpretation. It's very subjective. So your ability to articulate in a way that you make sure you're you're uncovering a shared understanding with the person or people that you're speaking to is so important. And I don't think I realized how complex it was early in my career. And when you can develop a communication flow with someone, it just makes things so much easier. You can move so much faster. You can like unblock roadblocks really quickly, get through any sort of confrontation or disagreement quickly. And I still see it to this day. These kind of things you're not taught in school. There's no one to kind of tell you, hey, this person is going to be thinking this way. Take this into consideration. This is how you can break through. This is the kind of language, whatever. So I would have loved to have a little bit of a kickstart on that, but I feel like I've come a long way in that way.
what do you think? What do you think is one of the keys to being a great communicator and mastering communication?
A lot of it is listening.
Oh, girl,
I
I did not
mean,
set you up for that. I did.
so
God gave us 2 ears and one mouth,
yeah,
right? Gotta
yeah.
use them
And
accordingly.
and I think early in my career too, I was more defensive than I should have been. Like, hey, I'm the events expert. You don't know what you're talking about. When really, the person talking to me is just they're giving me feedback and advice that's just going to make me better, my expertise better, and being able to take that and use it to your advantage. Like feedback is power, and build that into your communication flow is essential, I think,
Heck yeah.
to climbing the ladder, being a leader, being a good employee, all of that.
As much as I love talking about you and kind of your growth, a breath of fresh careers really, I put this out during COVID to help people. I mean, there were so many people that were displaced. So I'd love to learn a little bit about what you look for, some of the key characteristics that you look for when you're interviewing candidates. I mean, as the VP of marketing, you're hiring, you have a team around you. So like, what stands out?
Yeah, I mean, the direct communication is one. If you can have really direct and candid communication with me, um, where you're not having to kind of translate or decipher what someone's saying, that's huge because then you can automatically get into a flow with someone. Ability to receive feedback is right up there too. Coachability is a big one also. So, I'm hiring people for their expertise. So I want them to come with a point of view and I want them to feel super comfortable giving it at all times. Like, a good leader hires for their gaps and their team's gaps and their company's gaps. But there's also a level of mentorship that happens there too, that you want to see the person open to, willing to hear you out, take advice, trust you on the ways in which you can better collaborate or expand your expertise. And that openness, that vulnerability is key to me in hiring someone, because I know then I'll be able to develop them and build them into an even bigger rock star than the person I hired.
Makes sense. Totally. Now, as a marketer, attention to detail, um, you're marketing focused individual. Are
Yep.
you looking at resumes? Are you looking at LinkedIn? Are you looking at both? What's important for you to see in somebody's profile? Um, give us some snippets.
Yeah, it's a good question. I tend to find our best candidates on LinkedIn. So I like to do, like, we have a recruiting team and they're amazing and they bring a lot of good candidates through the door. But more often than not, we find our best folks by me just kind of hunting people down on LinkedIn. And as far as what I look for in their profile, the description is actually like the about me description, which is kind of optional. I really like because some people pay attention to it, some people don't. And then the people that do pay attention to it, they either use it to really capture the essence of who they are and what it would be like to work with them, which I think is the right thing to do. And others just kind of like summarize what's already in the lower portion of the profile as far as like your experience. So to me, if you can kind of write, a small paragraph, like 5 sentences or a few bullets that capture, that allow me to get to know you a bit better and what's important to you and how you operate and a little bit about your expertise, that stands out to me.
That's good. If you can convey in 5 sentences who you are, what you do, and what you can do for a future employer, it's huge. And if you can convey that, communicate that, let's go back to one of your keys. If you can directly communicate that in 5 sentences, you can probably do it in person as well, which is important.
And especially I'm hiring for marketing roles, right? So if you can't if you can't cut through the clutter, and if you've got a bunch of buzzwords, it's something I look at.
Now, in marketing, social media, I mean, you guys are touching so many different avenues of marketing: email, on-site, paid media, SMS. Do you look at other social media outlets when you're evaluating these candidates, or when you're getting close to making a hire? Are you looking at their Facebook page, if people even have that anymore? Are you looking at Instagram and TikTok? I mean, TikTok's crazy.
TikTok's a whole other beast that I can't say I have a ton of expertise in, but I don't look at like people's Facebook profiles or Instagram profiles, but I recently, over the past year, got back on Twitter, and I know I'm like super late to the party on that one, but it's actually been a really great resource to find candidates and thought leaders. I find it to be a bit more genuine and conversational and human than, a Facebook or an Instagram, where it feels like you're kind of trying to put a face on. And
I agree, man. I think Facebook's just full of shit. I think I think Facebook is what people want you to think about them.
And it's the same with Instagram. There's something disarming about Twitter, and I don't know how they like Twitter managed it, but it's cool. And
I think they manage it because like you have a limited number of words, right? Like that's it. Like that's literally it. You have
goes
a
back
very
to the LinkedIn description. You got to be super tight.
I'm like that guy on Facebook now, like thumbs up, like thumbs up, like thumbs up, thumbs up. I very rarely even post things. My wife, she started a health coaching business during the pandemic, went back to school, and she's like big on community groups in Facebook because, mom groups and all this other stuff where people, they might've had kids. They stopped taking care of themselves because they're taking care of their family. And like, she's getting a ton of traction there. I think Facebook could be really good for that. And Instagram is really good for that, but I think it's bullshit. I mean, it's total bullshit. And I'm sorry,
it's got its assets. I think what you said, like the community aspect works.
Yeah. Am I going to put a video of my kid getting smoked in hockey, by some kid that's better than him? No. Well, nobody does. It's like, it's crazy. Am I going to, I don't know, if I live in a crappy house, am I going to, put a picture with me and my family in this crappy house in the background? No, I'm going to go to like a covered bridge somewhere and with foliage, it's just, I don't know. It's just so fake. I don't know. Fake book, I think people are calling it now.
Sure.
What's that?
No, I agree. It can be. It's it's like the gift and the curse of social media. You can use it right, or it becomes like a toxic thing. Yeah.
So back to you, exciting, back to Sarah Cascone. How do you, as the VP of marketing, motivate your team?
So I think I have a lot of energy, and I think anyone would say that. So I think I bring a natural passion, I think, to everything I do, which I'm sure at some days my team wants to roll their eyes at, but generally I think they feed off of it and they appreciate it, especially in this virtual world. It's harder to feed off of each other when you're just like a one-dimensional face on a screen. But also I am really adamant about making sure they have clear goals and always beating the drum as far as how that connects to the larger motion of what our team is doing and what the company is doing. So they always have a sense of purpose. And one thing we're actually working on right now is making sure they also have very clear career paths. So what do I need to do to succeed in my current role, and how do I get to the next level, and what does that look like? And I think that's motivating for them. I honestly, I spend most of my time thinking about my team and how to develop
Oh,
them, what they need. And I hope they know that, because they, I would be nothing without them. But
if they didn't know what they're
I,
gonna now.
yeah, there you go. Love you guys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I think that's motivating for them. I think they know I'm invested in them, and the company is invested in them. We, Bluecore takes our people really seriously, and we want everyone to be rock stars and feel like this was a worthwhile journey at whatever point they get on or get off the boat.
That's great. So what are you seeing in the industry? Like, what are you as the VP of marketing and your marketing team like curious about right now? What's next in the space?
Yeah, I actually just spoke to someone else about this for, I think it was Martech magazine. I'm probably misquoting that, but community is like the big thing in marketing right now, and how you build a community around what you stand for. And I see a lot of companies tackling it in different ways, whether it's they have user groups, conferences. How are you engaging with your customers, especially virtually when, in-person events are less frequent now? How are you kind of connecting with the human beings that are using your product or part of your company? And that is something we are paying a lot of attention to now as well. Like, we have an amazing group of retail marketers behind everything that Bluecore has done, and we have an amazing community that's always driving our success forward. So we're constantly looking for ways to nurture that, understand what they need, help them do their jobs better, because everything we stand for is for retail success. How do we make a marketer's job easier in retail so that their business can thrive long term? And so much of that is community and learning from one another. And we have executive groups like the D2C Collective, where VPs come together and discuss, otherwise behind closed door strategies for how they're dealing with really big problems, like when the pandemic hit, and now there's an inventory crisis. And having that constant dialogue and ability to learn from another, especially retail and martech, is at hyperspeed all the time. So having those touch points, I think, are
Yeah.
really important, and I'm seeing that a lot across many different martech platforms, not even just in our space, in the retail space.
I'm a big audiobook guy. I, I'm that kind of guy. When I open a book and read, and I like in bed, 30 seconds, I'm like gone. I get up at 5, maybe max 5:30. I go to bed at 10. You know what I mean? Like I'm an early morning guy. So like when I hit the bed, I don't know, it's like my clock, it's a switch, it just goes off. So
Yeah.
I listened to this book called Tribal Leadership. It's by David Logan, John King, and Haley Fisher Wright.
Mhm.
Tribal Leadership. And if you're looking to potentially open your mind to everything you just said, you should listen to this book or read this book. Have you read it?
I haven't, but it's funny. I've heard of it. And it's funny you say that about the tribal piece, because
Because it's a community. They are building communities, and like these organizations are building communities. They're building tribes, and you're building a
absolutely.
little marketing tribe. But like if we can take a look outside of like our tribe, our community, and how do we relate that to, I don't want to be scary here, but technology and attracting, more and more people to our community, to our tribe. Like this book's underlying theme might have a little snippet of idea for you. I mean,
Oh, I will definitely check it out. I think, technology definitely further enables community. I think the challenge becomes, community is all about, to me, a human connection. And honestly, that's what marketing is about at the end of the day. And I think that gets buried under channels and technology and all of these other like
yeah,
up and coming things. And you have to understand how to foster some sort of a connection and some trust within a community. Like, hey, I want to be part of this community because I trust them to help me. I feel connected to what they're doing. Their mission is important to me. And that to me is like the core of also building a brand. And that's important to Bluecore as well.
It should be to any marketer and any company for sure. What do you think it takes to be successful in marketing? I mean, we just spoke about like what you're curious about and what you're seeing in the industry, and that's like forward thinking. But what do you really think it takes to be successful in marketing today?
Yeah. So I think traditionally marketing has been seen almost as a cost center and kind of like a necessary evil within a business. Like we have to drive awareness. We don't really know if it's working. And obviously, like with the emergence of technology and all of that, we can understand more of what's working. But I think the key to being successful in marketing is staying tied to sales pipeline. And I think that is something that's pretty unique for us. I don't see many other marketing teams doing this, but we are tied to a sales meetings goal and a pipeline goal. So
in terms of like new business development, like sales development.
Yep. New business development, also for nurturing our existing customer base. At the end of the day, that like we are trying to grow revenue and grow business. So if marketing isn't tied to that and you can't measure it, it's really hard to understand what's working. So it's really important to us. We're a metrics driven team. So we try to marry that with the human side of marketing and the community piece to make sure we are accelerating growth for the company in a really direct way.
Just listening to you, it's awesome. It's like so awesome to hear you.
I love this stuff. I'll talk about Bluecore marketing all day.
I know you will, and that you're a great team player. Are you working on any other special projects other than Bluecore and being the VP of marketing there?
Yeah. So, outside of Bluecore, yeah, that's a good question. I think I'm always kind of trying to learn and grow. I think for me, outside of Bluecore and connecting with other leaders in my role at different companies and things like that, I just spend a lot of time trying to clear my head and focus on what matters. So there's a lot of distraction in the world right now, and it's easy to get pulled into doing certain activities that you don't want to do, or you feel guilty about not seeing someone because you've been in a pandemic or whatever it is. And for me, it's being really clear about what do I need in this moment and making sure I get that. And if that means sitting on the couch at night and reading a book, I do that. If that means I'm going to go out to dinner with a friend or my boyfriend, I'll do that. But I guess it's like a self-care project, and making sure I'm like super in tune with my needs as a human being, because that helps me be a better partner, a better dog mom, a better sister, a better daughter, a better leader. And then this is another thing, like you don't get taught this stuff in school.
You don't.
So having that kind of clarity and peace of mind and understanding when and what you're doing and why, I think is really important to just like having a sound mind and being at peace and being happy.
That's awesome.
I feel like that went in a different direction than
that's okay. That's what this is about. It's an open-ended conversation. I always love asking this question. Is there anything I should have asked you about today and didn't?
Yeah. Like, what's my favorite food? I think a big thing, everyone knows Sarah Cascone is big on food. And if I'm not talking about Bluecore or marketing or my dogs, I'm probably talking about food.
So what's your favorite food? What do you like these days?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm born and bred New Yorker from Brooklyn. So Italian background. So pizza is at the top of my list, but I think
you've been to New Haven for the pizza here.
I haven't, but I've heard a ton about Connecticut pizza and I need to be exposed to it.
Yeah. I have the chills right now. You're a pizza girl and you haven't been to the pizza capital of the world.
Yeah. Isn't there like one place I've seen on TV?
There's like 3 or 4 places in no particular order, but we like Sally's on Worcester Street. Pepe's is also on Worcester Street.
That's the one I've heard of.
And then there's a really well, Pepe's you hear about because they now have them all over the place. They've got it at the casino. They have one in Fairfield. They have one
wow.
in but it's not Worcester Street Pepe's. Okay. It's not like 100-year-old wood-fired pizza oven. You know what I mean? It's like a 4-year-old wood-fired pizza oven. No,
Sure.
it's no. So there's Sally's, which is our favorite. And I'm talking like the crust underneath is like blackened charcoal. I mean, it's like what? It's unbelievable. Melts in your mouth. Sally's, Pepe's. We like Bar in New Haven on Crown Street. Because if okay, so really quickly, if you go to Sally's or Pepe's, you're getting like pizza. That's it.
Yeah.
Like you're getting pizza. You're there to get. You might get Genesee cream ale as an option to drink, or another like New Haven brand soda or something like that. But like that's it, right? Bars is what it's called. It's a bar. It's unbelievable. They have it's like a micro brew. And they have pizza. So there's like a huge environment there, and the pizzas to die for. They're huge.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And then the fourth is Modern Pizza. It's really good. My wife and I don't eat it. We have like the same nightmares every night when we eat for some reason. I don't know. Like, oh my God, I had the worst nightmare. And she's like, I did too. And I was like, what's it about? And they're always about the same thing together. It's kind of weird.
That was very
it's like
weird.
Laced with LS. What is LSD?
No.
But no, I mean, you got to come when you bring your boyfriend up and we'll go.
I have to visit.
We'll
it's funny. Pizza. Fridays are pizza night. So I think we might have to try a new place tonight just to change that.
2 hours from you. That's the only problem. But the train does go right into New Haven.
Yeah. Well,
pick you up. Right. Okay. So what other foods? So pizza, Italian. Okay. What
Pizza's
other foods?
Huge. And I always say I'm a big prosciutto and mozzarella girl. Like I could just
mozzarella.
Eat that. Yeah. Everyone on this podcast will make fun of me for saying that way, but that's how you say it.
That's how you say it.
Yeah, that on like a hero. Oh God, so good. Make me hungry. It's what,
okay. One more
9:30 a.m.
Since you're pizza, and it's not as far as New Haven, you got to go to Terra Restaurant on Greenwich Ave in Greenwich, Connecticut. And they have a pizza called prosciutto de Parma.
Oh yeah, I'm all over that.
It's unbelievable. And their pizzas are really good. They're small, but like, the prosciutto de Parma is like to die for. It really is. I think they do like a balsamic glaze on it.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. It's so good. I might just try to rent it. Prosciutto de Parma. So they actually used to call me prosciutto de Parma down there. That was like my nickname because I was like, that's what I'd go there. They have awesome.
You'd order it all the time.
That's all I'd get.
That's so funny. That reminds me in college because of my last name. Everyone calls me by my last name. So I would get like Cascone, Provolone, Calzone.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What advice can you give to our listeners? You have fun doing what you're doing, right? So like in life, in work, for entrepreneurs out there, what advice can you give us?
Yeah. So I think understanding what your strengths are and then surrounding yourself with people who kind of complement you and fill your gaps is a big one. We're each one person. We can't know everything. And, the sum of our parts are greater than the whole. So being able to understand that, especially as a leader, is really important, and you're surrounding yourself with the team. I also think too, going back to my tangent on like self-care and life, just paying attention to your needs, your thoughts. I think it's really easy in a fast-paced environment to kind of skip over things. And then all of a sudden you find yourself, you're burnt out, or you're not happy, or you're in a place you didn't think you'd be. So there's some thoughtfulness that I think everyone could use there. I like to be completely transparent. Like I have a therapist and it's the best thing I've ever done for myself to kind of help me understand what it is I need and be a better person and leader. So if you have the resources to do that, I think if everyone could have a therapist, I think the world would be a better place, but, that's my 2 cents. And yeah, and just listening and being communicative. And, you know, we talked about this. I think many of us are more comfortable talking versus listening and absorbing. And it's an important part of how you grow as a human being and as a leader.
Okay. That's awesome. I'm so many people's therapist. Like people, that's like a quote, like, oh my God, you're my therapist. People share with me the
I think
crazy.
recruiters are a lot like therapists. I could totally see that.
Come on.
You're
Don't
you're a
pacify
coach.
me with the rest of recruiters. Come on.
I know. So what do you call yourself then?
Um,
Career coach?
no, I've been called that too. I've been called that too. No,
You're definitely a coach.
I'm a
You're a coach
recruiter.
of sorts.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You
I'm
coached me
going
through the whole thing with the early days of Trigger Mill. I remember that your energy was contagious and you were just like, go, go, go. Here's what you got to do. Here's what this person's going to be like. Here's how you should prepare. Like it was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. You have to. I mean, blind dates don't work. I've never been on one, but blind dates don't really work. So like, why walk into a blind date when it's your career?
Yeah. Oh, well, what a great quote. You should use that as a tagline.
You can use it for me.
Okay.
You're the marketer. No. So where do you want our listeners to connect with you?
LinkedIn works. Shoot
Okay.
me a message. I'm on there quite a bit, so I'll eventually get to it.
I'll put a link to your LinkedIn profile in the comment section, if that's cool.
Perfect. Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me?
Why did you want me on this podcast? I feel like there's well, and this isn't meant to be like a toot my own horn kind of thing. Just curious, like who are the type of leaders you bring on here, and what can your viewers get from that?
You know, let me answer the question first. So you and I, 2014, right? Like build a relationship, place you at Trigger Mill, Bluecore. And then kind of like we stayed in touch a little bit, you know what I mean? But like that, you were like one of the last hires I made there because you guys grew so quickly that you brought in like a 10-person recruiting team. I remember it. And like they were holding on to Woodbridge for a little bit, my recruiting firm, you know, for a little while. But like, you know what, for me and my relationships with client companies, you wear in and you wear out, and that's okay. Like, but that's why you always need to be like on top of what's new in the industry and all that good stuff. But I'm not trying to kiss your ass here, but like I've followed you and like I see a lot of the things you post, and you know, you're a success story. You know, so many recruiters out there place people and they last 6 months. I mean, look at the people that have come in and out of Bluecore since you've been there. I mean, you guys have had a lot of false starts. Thank God, not necessarily because of me, but maybe others, you know, long story short, I mean, you're a success story and you're a driver, man. And I want our listeners to hear that. And you talk about energy and the energy I have. And I mean, your energy is also infectious. So like, it's important for me to kind of like share with people and give back a little bit. I think that you have a lot to give back. You really do. And that's why I wanted you on here.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And I'm happy to give back, happy to connect. You know, there's, I get, you know, random cold outreach from people just looking for advice on their career. And I'm always happy to do that. I wish I would have done that or had that when I was younger in my career. So I'm happy to help, even if, you know, the takeaway, however small, you know, allows someone to grow.
If somebody picks one thing up during this podcast that they can use to better, you know, move the needle for them, like it's a win. You know, you asked a second question, like what type of leaders do you bring on here? It's so funny because I started this podcast off like talking to sales leaders and CEOs and entrepreneurs and leaders, real leaders. But you know what? This is about progressing people's career and helping them get to where they inevitably want to be. I'm talking to everyone. I talked to a woman at one point who started her own skincare product. By the way, she was in marketing technology, but she like you used the term, which I'm going to steal because I always say on the other side of the tracks or the other side of the trench. You said the other side of the coin. She was on the vendor side. Now she's on the marketing side, building her brand. You know, and we talk about like, hey man, what's it take? Like, the chutzpah, the balls it takes to like
Oh,
start your
yeah.
own gig, and
Yeah.
and what it takes to separate yourself from the rest of the other million people that are applying for a VP of marketing job at a company like Bluecore. So like that's really it. If you have any suggestions of who you think I should interview, or who you think I'd, would enjoy it and would be able to, and would be willing to give back, and would be willing to, just talk about their life, I'd love to entertain that as
Oh,
well.
absolutely. I have a couple people in mind. That'd be great.
All right. That's it, man. We're good. You good?
Boom, boom. Yeah, this was fun.
All right. Have a good weekend, Sarah. Thank you so
You
much
too.
for joining us, and we'll talk again soon.
Yep. Let's stay
All
in
right.
touch. Thanks, Justin.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.